The screaming stopped the moment I stepped inside the house. Not faded, not distant. Gone. The door shut behind me on its own, slow and deliberate, like the house wanted to be certain I couldn't change my mind. Dust hung in the air, unmoving, as if time itself was holding its breath. The walls were closer than before. I knew they were. I hadn't imagined it. The house had been adjusting. I took one step forward. The floor creaked not beneath my feet, but ahead of me, as if someone unseen was walking away. "Hello?" My voice came back wrong. Stretched. Twisted. The hallway rearranged itself. Doors that hadn't been there before lined both sides now, each one slightly open, each one breathing out a soft, wet sound like muffled crying through cloth. I recognized the screams suddenly. They weren't random. They were memories. I passed the first door and heard a child begging not to be left alone. The voice was mine. Younger, terrified. The second door whispered an argument I'd buried years ago, words sharp enough to draw blood. Words I never apologized for. The third door didn't scream at all. It laughed. I stopped. That laugh belonged to my brother. He'd been dead for 12 years. My hand shook as I pushed the door open. The room inside wasn't a room. It was a moment frozen and rotting. The night he died played on repeat. The stairs. The darkness. His body at the bottom, bent wrong, his mouth open in a scream that never ended. "You came back," he said, standing up. He wasn't broken anymore. He was smiling. "You hear it now, don't you?" he asked. The house, screaming. "What is this place?" I whispered. He stepped closer. Too close. His eyes were hollow pits, but I could see myself reflected inside them. "It's where pain goes when it's ignored," he said, "where grief ferments." The walls pulsed. A scream tore through the house loud enough to rattle my teeth. "Whose was that?" I asked. He tilted his head. "Yours?" he said. The floor dropped out from under me. I didn't fall. I sank slowly into the house itself. Walls passed through my body. Doors slid through my chest. Every scream grew louder, closer, until I realized something horrifying. They weren't coming from the house. They were coming from me. The house was empty. It always had been. I was lying on the floor of the living room, my mouth stretched wide, screaming until my throat tore. The mirrors along the wall showed dozens of versions of me, each one trapped in a different moment of pain, each one screaming so the others wouldn't have to remember. The house wasn't haunted. It was fed by people like me, people who refused to let go. The front door appeared across the room, glowing faintly. Freedom! But between me and it stood the house itself now, formed of bodies and doors and faces I loved and lost. They spoke together, one voice made of many. "Leave," it said, almost kindly, "and the screaming follows you forever." I crawled toward the door anyway. The screaming rose to a pitch that felt like knives behind my eyes. "Stay," the house pleaded, "and we'll scream for you." My hand touched the doorknob. The screaming stopped. Silence rushed in, so fast it hurt. I opened the door. Sunlight. Normal sounds. Cars. Wind. Life. I stepped out. The house stood quiet behind me, abandoned and still. For the first time in years, my head was silent. That night, in my own bed, I slept deeply. No dreams, no screams, until my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. When I answered, the line filled with screaming dozens of voices, layered and familiar. And beneath them all, my own voice whispered softly, "Please come back." The power went out across the city just after midnight. Streetlights died one by one, and the neighborhood sank into darkness. That was when I saw Iten, the hill beyond my window. The house, empty for years, forgotten by everyone, and yet it was glowing. Not from lights, not from candles. A dull yellow pulse leaked from inside its walls, like the house itself was breathing. Then came the sound. A scream. Not sudden, not sharp. Long, stretched, endless. People said the house screamed every night, but only to certain people. And once you heard it, you were never the same. I was a reporter. Curiosity had ruined better men than me. So I went. The air changed the moment I reached the front gate. No wind, no insects, just my footsteps and the screaming, now close enough to feel against my skin. The front door was already open. I didn't knock. The house didn't need permission. The moment I stepped inside, the screaming stopped. The silence was worse. The door closed behind Mislo. Careful, final. The air inside was thick and warm, heavy with the smell of dust and something older. Something human. Family photographs covered the walls. Every face had been scratched, out except the eyes. All of them were watching me. Footsteps sounded above. Slow. Deliberate. I turned on my flashlight and climbed the stairs. With every step, the screaming returned faint at first, then louder, clearer. I understood then. This wasn't pain. It was memory at the top of the stairs. A bedroom door stood open. Inside, a tape recorder sat on the floor, spinning. A voice played. My voice. Please. Stop. Please. My chest tightened. That wasn't possible. The tape clicked off. Something breathed behind my ear. You said that once to spun around. No one was there, only a mirror. And in it, I saw myself smiling. Eyes bloodshot, face twisted with something close to relief. The reflection spoke. This house doesn't scream, it said. It listens. The wall beside me screamed so close, my head slammed against it. And suddenly I remembered. I had been here before. Years ago, that night someone begged for help from inside this house, and I walked away. I shut the door. I told myself it wasn't my problem. The scream stayed. The house kept it. The floor creaked below. The front door was opening. Slowly. Like the house was welcoming me home. This time, it wasn't going to let me leave. The front door opened fully. Not by force. Not by sound. It opened the way a mouth opened slow, patient, hungry. Primera basque de Hawaii, my heel hitting the edge of the stairs. The house creaked in response, like it was pleased. The walls pulsed faintly. That same dull yellow glow breathing in and out. Then the screaming returned. Not from one place. From everywhere. The ceiling. The floor. Inside. The walls. Dozens of voices layered together, men, women, children all, crying the same words in different tones. Help me. Don't leave. You promised? I covered my ears. It didn't help. The mirror cracked behind me. My reflection didn't. It stepped closer inside the glass, pressing its hands against the surface from the other side. You hear them now. Each side softly. That means you belong to them. The house shifted. Hallways stretched longer than they should have. Doors appeared where there were none before. I ran, but every turn brought me back to the same bedroom. The tape recorder was there again. This time, it wasn't playing my voice. It played my silence. The sound of footsteps walking away. A door closing. A scream being cut off. The recorder clicked. The bedroom door slammed shut. The temperature dropped instantly. My breath fogged the air. Shapes began to press through the wall's faces, forming beneath the wallpaper, mouths open wide, screaming without sound. One of them pushed through. A woman! Her neck twisted at an impossible angle, eyes swollen and wet. You heard me, she whispered. Why didn't you stay? Another followed. Then, another. They surrounded me, their hands cold, heavy, real. Each touch pulled something out of me, memories, guilt, breath. I dropped to my knees. I didn't know, I cried. I was afraid. They smiled. So were we. The floor opened beneath me. I fell. Not down into the house. I saw everything as I fell. Every person who had ever heard the screaming and chosen to walk away. Every face became a room. Every regret became a wall. The house wasn't haunted. It was built brick by brick, scream by scream, coward by coward. I woke up standing in the doorway. Morning light filled the street. The house behind me looked abandoned. Empty, silent. Police cars were parked nearby. An officer approached me slowly. "Sir, are you okay?" I nodded. He hesitated. "We got a call last night. Someone was screaming in that house." I looked past him. At the hill, at the house. Its windows were dark again. "Waiting?" the officer asked. "Did you hear anything?" I opened my mouth, and then I closed it. Behind me, the house inhaled. I thought silence meant freedom. Days passed, then weeks. The house never appeared in my dreams again. No screams, no mirrors, no voices. That should have been my warning. It started with my throat, a pressure deep, tight, like hands closing from the inside. When I tried to speak, only air came out. Not pain, not yet. At night, I heard whispers not around me. Inside me, fragments of voices layered together, begging, crying, accusing, growing clearer every time I closed my eyes. I tried to drown them out with music, with noise, with people. Nothing worked. One night, while brushing my teeth, I leaned toward the mirror and froze. My reflection opened its mouth. I didn't. The sound came out anyway. A scream. Long, raw, endless. My neighbors called the police. I couldn't explain why my mouth kept opening on its own, why the scream didn't tear my throat, why it felt relieved when it came out. Doctors found nothing wrong. Psychiatrists avoided my eyes. Then the screams started happening without me. Recordings surfaced online late at night, faint audio captured on phones. A scream with no source, no direction. People described it the same way. "It sounds like someone who regrets something." I recognized it immediately. It was me. I returned to the hill. The house stood there, a gun fully formed now, glowing softly. Its front door was open, waiting. When I stepped inside, the pressure in my throat vanished. The house was quiet, peaceful, warm. The walls no longer screamed "Te listened." The door closed behind me, and for the first time since that night, years ago, the screaming stopped everywhere else, because it didn't belong to the house anymore. It belonged to me. Now, when people pass the hill at night, they swear they hear a scream. Not from the house, from the dark air around it. Close, human, endless.